Hi, my name is John Platt. I'm a sales rep and product specialist here with USA Industries, and today we're going to go over the steps taken before installing a Snap-it plug as well as installing a plug. But before we do that, we need to address safety. While out there in the field and utilizing our install kit, you need to make sure you use all the proper PPE, whether it's proper eyewear, gloves, or steel-toe boots, and any other PPE that your facility requires you to have on site. Before you go to install any of these plugs, you want to make sure that you brush out the tubes with our air drill and pistol drill. You also want to make sure you utilize one of our brush kits. Brush kits are made per plug size. For example, today we're using a 584 brush kit to go with a 584 Junior Snap-it plug. After you do that, you want to make sure that you use one of USA Industries 1-rev cutter to vent and or pierce the tube. The 1-rev cutters are OD and gauge specific, meaning a 3/4 inch 14 gauge 1-rev cutter is needed for a 3/4 inch 14 gauge tube. Now that we've addressed those two items, I'm going to connect the hydraulic ram to the hydraulic foot pump. First step you want to do when installing the hose into the ram, you need to make sure when you've got it connected that there is no space between the hose and the handle of the ram. Once you have that done, tighten it down by hand. You need to make sure that you do not use a wrench on this system. It is not necessary. Now after you connected the ram puller to the hose, you can do the same thing with the hydraulic foot pump. Before you go ahead and utilize the hydraulic foot pump, you want to make sure there's adequate fluid in the pump. With connecting the hose to the hydraulic foot pump, you want to make sure, like you did with the ram, that there's no space between the hose and the connection to the foot pump. Next, you will tighten it down by hand, just like you did with the ram puller. You do not want to use a wrench. Now that we have connected the ram and the hydraulic foot pump together, we're going to take the near-end pull rod assembly and get it put together, ready for installation. First thing you want to get is your size 2 near-end pull rod. The reason I'm using a size 2 is because we're using size 584 Snap-it plug Juniors today. If you're not sure if you're using the right size pull rod, you can go to our website at www.usaindustries.com and check there. You're going to put the pull rod through the ram. This right here is the back side of the ram. That is where the threaded portion of the pull rod will go. Next, you're going to take your expansion nut and put that onto the threaded portion of the pull rod. You only go about 5 to 6 threads in. Reason being is you're going to have to tighten everything up anyway, but you need some slack. Next step is going to be your spacer. The spacer fits in between the pull rod and the ram itself. Before you put on your plug positioner, you want to make sure you're utilizing the correct plug positioner for the plug that you are installing. Today we are doing 584s. You also want to make sure you follow the arrows. You want to make sure that the side that says ram goes towards the ram, the side that says plug goes towards the plug. Once you have that on there, you will now put on your Snap-it plug. The Snap-it plug is a 3-piece plug. It has a pin, a ring, and a breakaway. The threaded portion of the breakaway is going to go into the ID of the pull rod assembly, but is also threaded as well. Once again, this is all done by hand, no need for a wrench. Once you have that securely fastened on there, you're going to tighten everything up and get rid of the slack by tightening down the expansion nut. Once the expansion nut is securely fastened, there is no more slack. The last thing you will do is take your safety cable. The safety cable is used to make sure that there is no injury to you or anyone nearby while installing the Snap-it plug. You want to fasten the safety cable nut all the way to the expansion nut. Now that we've gotten the ram and the hydraulic foot pump together with the pull rod assembly ready to install, we need to brush the ID of the tubes. You need to make sure you have the correct brush kit for the Snap-it plugs that you are going to be plugging with. Today we are plugging with 584 Snap-it Junior, so I have a 584 brush kit. That brush kit comes in the sizes of 580, 600, and 620. Some brush kits come with 3 brushes, some come with 5. You always want to make sure you start with the smallest brush available first. If you have to increase from there to get a proper clean ID of your tube, you can go to the next size up and the next size up from there until you've cleaned out the tube properly. When installing it into pistol drill, you're going to tighten it down by hand and then get your chuck. You're going to tighten it down until it is securely fastened to your pistol drill. Now that you have that there, everything is ready to go. Next thing we're going to do is brush the ID of a tube, vent and pierce that tube, and then install a plug.